The following video is a video that's available on my Patreon page, and every once in a while I'll take a Patreon video and post it on here on YouTube, excuse me, because I like to give people kind of a rough idea of some of the content that you can find on my Patreon website, and there's hours and hours and hours of bonus material that you will never find here on YouTube. Welcome to a new video, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at my backyard. Isn't this beautiful? I've got these giant trees, pretty good distance between my neighbors and I. Check out these trees, folks. Beautiful. Unfortunately, this camera just doesn't do it justice, but it's important that we get outside. I spend a lot of time out here, ladies and gentlemen. I ground myself to the earth out here. It's pretty windy, so hopefully this gets picked up. But we spend so much time. Check out those purple trees. Again, this camera does not do this beautiful backyard justice. We need to spend more time outside. We need to ground ourselves. We spend so much time indoors around all the electromagnetic fields. Most people's homes nowadays are filled full of wireless technologies. It's like a wireless prison cell of sorts. So I'm going to talk about 5G, I'm going to talk about the dangers of 4G and how to mitigate all of that stuff within your home. But one of the most important things to do is to get outside of your home, because a lot of these technologies are amplified in people's homes with the again, the wireless technologies. One thing is I would recommend, ladies and gentlemen, is to what's the word I'm looking for? Direct wire with an Ethernet cord all of your devices so that you don't have wireless technologies in your home. It's a very simple thing to do. Maybe I'll make a quick video showing you guys how to do it, but getting outside is the key. Because these homes, like my home, which you see right here, and there's one of my dogs. These homes, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have them equipped properly, if you don't have an air filter, if you haven't gone through the process of mitigating all the wireless technologies, these homes can be amplifiers for dangerous frequencies, dangerous radiation, etc. So the homes are where we're primarily exposed to bad food, because our refrigerators are more often than not filled full of garbage. We're exposed to the tap water. We're exposed to the New World Order gas chambers, so to speak, ladies and gentlemen. These showers that we bathe in, where we're free-basing all of the chlorine, the hexafluorosilicic acid, the pipe residues. Our homes, we spend 1/3 of our life in bed, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, it's really windy out here. We spend 1/3 of our life in bed, and then we spend a lot of time at work, and then we come home and we spend the remainder, for the most part of our lives, in our homes. So again, 1/3 of our life we spend in bed in our homes, and then we spend a lot of time cooking in our houses, relaxing. So we spend a large majority of our time in our houses. It's important, predicated upon that fact, that we turn these houses that we live in into health regeneration pods. We need to ground our beds so that we're not, there's just so many things, just common sense things. The foundation is clean water, mitigation of wireless technologies, ladies and gentlemen. Directly wire your electronic devices, your laptops, your computers, with an Ethernet cable. We'll get into it in the near future, folks. I didn't want to make this video about the homes, but it's kind of relative to the video that I'm going to talk, or to this video, because one of the reasons why it's so important that most people get outside of their houses is because their houses haven't been terraformed into a health regeneration pod. Check out that tree next to my house as well, ladies and gentlemen. So, with the advancements of 5G, one thing that we know about 5G, just before we continue with this energy gathering exercise, is that trees disrupt 5G signals, ladies and gentlemen. 5G is very powerful, but it doesn't have a long range. So they're going to have to be putting in all of these transceivers every so many feet, or how many, half a mile. I don't remember the exact ratio. But one thing we do know is, because of 5G's weak not telemetry, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very strong system, but it doesn't have a long range. So due to 5G's short range, in this, it's a millimeter technology, but due to its short range, it gets disrupted very easily. And that's why if you study 5G, they're going to be putting over, I believe, 6 million 5G transceivers across the United States. It has a very weak signal. It needs many or multiple transceivers. But we do know that trees break up 5G signals, these millimeter wave technologies. So get outside, get yourself some fresh air, get around the trees. I'm really glad that I have the trees around me that I do, because unlike many of the houses in this neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen, I have probably a 200 or more yard, maybe a little less than that, 200-yard range between the next neighbor. So I have all of these trees disrupting a lot of energy. Wow, is it windy? Let's move away. This is what I wanted to show you in this video, a simple energy gathering exercise, folks. A simple energy gathering exercise. Trees have auras, ladies and gentlemen. They have electromagnetic fields. To the programmed senses and to the programmed conditioned eyes, when we look at trees, all we do is we see physical structures. We see bark, we see green, we see colors. But in a state of enlightenment, if you were to look at this tree, you would see a vast labyrinth, a geometrically perfect and complex ovum of overlapping energies that oscillate and move, predicated upon you even looking at it. So what's interesting is that if you, in a state of shamanic consciousness, for instance, and many people experience this while under the influence of ayahuasca and other psychedelic sacraments, they notice that trees not only have auras, but they have personalities. And one thing that's really interesting, and I've talked to many people who have experienced this under the influence of things like certain psychedelic sacraments, is that when they see a tree's energetic field, its aura, it reacts to them noticing it, and it communicates to them. It starts to spin its energy fields in accordance to an individual perceiving the energy fields. This is how trees largely communicate with us, ladies and gentlemen. This is how animals communicate with us too. When we're in certain states of consciousness, they do it through their electromagnetic field. Our electromagnetic fields have the ability to match up with and connect with other species, including plants, trees, etc., their energetic fields. And they can begin to oscillate on a similar frequency, and then you can receive information and you can become a transceiver. You send information back and forth between the organism and you receive it. You see, these trees, ladies and gentlemen, are far more complex than you give them credit for. And it's due to our programmed senses and our programmed and rewired assemblage point that we no longer can see the magic of a tree. We can no longer interact with them. Trees, ladies and gentlemen, and I've experienced this, in a state of kundalini, they can actually bend their limbs and show you things. There's a really interesting movie from Keanu Reeves called Little Buddha. Most people have never seen that, but in that movie, ladies and gentlemen, there's a good representation of this actually happening when the tree actually bends to his will. But trees are antennas. They're electromagnetic antennas, ladies and gentlemen. They have auras. These are living shamanic entities that have literal hierarchies of spirits in them. The trees take information from the surface of the earth, send it down into the dirt, down into the telluric kingdom, and then it's handed over and transferred into the elemental kingdom. But we don't do this because we look at trees like they're just these inanimate objects. Because of our programming, we walk under trees not hearing their... I'm not even going to get into it. All I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that when our psychic feelers, our psychic centers are activated and awakened, when our chakras are awakened, which are the primary churches, the true churches of God, our consciousness gets brought up to speed with the evolutionary energy of nature, and now we can communicate with nature in a way that would blow your mind and make you so absolutely, it would blow your mind to such an extent that it would probably make you weep if you could actually glimpse nature in its true glory. But one of the ways that the Matrix controls us is that they shift our assemblage point They damage our electromagnetic field, and in doing so, they take us away from being able to communicate with trees, with animals, with the elemental kingdom, with it's just all of it. So in previous videos, I've talked about energy gathering techniques, ladies and gentlemen. I've talked about going out and gathering energy through breathing. I've talked about going out and doing certain breath work techniques for energy gathering. Those particular breath work techniques are clearly demonstrated and outlined in John Kreider's book, Overcoming the Archon Through Alchemy. I cannot stress the importance of that textbook enough. Unfortunately, due to the fact that I don't have a tripod, I can't really show you all of the techniques right now that I wish that I could. You need to pick up that book and read it, because he teaches you the reverse breathing techniques. He demonstrates it and explains it in a very succinct and easy to understand way. That book, essentially, ladies and gentlemen, I recommend it so often because it teaches you how to breathe energy back into your system that you're losing. It also teaches you how to go out into nature, this vast energy field of infinite energy, and gather energy through your breath work and integrate it into your energetic field so that you can store energy. This is how we truly begin to evolve, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm just going to show you a very basic energy gathering technique that I've created on my own. This has nothing to do with breath. It doesn't have to. I integrate breathing techniques. I integrate reverse breathing into this exercise. And if you want to learn more about reverse breathing, I'll talk more about it in the future. But pick up John Kreider's book, Vampire's Way. He goes into great detail about reverse breathing in that particular volume. But this is what I do, folks. I'm grounded to the earth. I'm walking barefoot. This allows me to receive massive amounts of energy from the earth, such as, but not limited to, anti-inflammatory constituents, information from the earth, negatively charged electrons, you name it. There's massive validity in the science of grounding yourself to the earth, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't believe me, pick up a book called Earthing by Clinton Ober. So what I've done, folks, for this exercise, it's about 10:30 in the morning. This is usually when I do my energy gathering techniques. This is alchemy. I drink about 1.5 cups of Shilajit 30 minutes before I do this to get the minerals into my system, to get my... Shilajit has a very grounding effect, ladies and gentlemen, on your psychic centers. It has a very grounding effect on your mind, and it helps bring your mind back down, kind of out of the clouds and into the earthly realm. It helps ground you. Shilajit is filled full of ionic minerals. It's a very profound substance. It has the precious metals, the golds, the silver in it. It's an alchemical treasure chest of valuable nutrients that you have probably been starved of your entire life. So what I do, folks, is I take the Shilajit, I do a little bit of breathing just before I come out here. I'll do a little bit of probably like 5 minutes, give or take, I would estimate, of my inner temple exercise where I tune in to the elemental kingdoms. You don't have to do this. However, I do recommend doing it. It's like warming up your car in the cold. It just helps you get much more out of this exercise. So I've put links in the description box below to the inner temple exercise. If you've never checked it out before, you need to get familiar with that exercise. That exercise allows you, ladies and gentlemen, to come into contact with your own personal power source, your subconscious mind. It allows you to very effectively tune into the motherly energy of the earth and God and the 4 elements. And if we're dealing with nature, we want to tune into the 4 elements. We want to tune into the elemental kingdom. So you don't have to do the inner temple exercise before you come out and do this. I do, however, recommend it. So this is really simple, folks. All I do is I walk up to a tree. I place my hand on the tree while I'm grounded to the earth, and I start to imagine energy coming out of every portion of the tree and into my hand. So I imagine energy coming, I envision energy coming from the roots of the tree, from the deep dirt, or from, excuse me, let me rephrase this. I envision energy coming and shooting up through the roots and coming down from the tips of every single branch and collecting right where my hand is. And then then I, excuse me, having difficulty getting this out, then I imagine the energy collecting in my palm and then traveling up my arm, ladies and gentlemen, and into my body and rejuvenating every single cell in my body. So what I like to do is I like to do breathing techniques. You can do a reverse breathing exercise, but you don't have to. So you can just breathe in. So what I would recommend is just put your hand on this tree, quiet your mind, and just feel the tree for a while. Sense the amount of energy permeating off of the tree. Trees are filled full of energy, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you know it or not, when you touch this tree, you are coming into contact with a living entity that has a vast array of auric energy, electromagnetic energy. So just place your hand on the tree and just get to know the damn tree. You see, we're so busy inside watching television all the time. We're so disconnected from nature that we don't even really know how to just sit and relax and feel nature. We don't know how to tune into the the energy of nature, excuse me. So just put your hand on the tree and just stay there for a while and feel what it feels like. What do you feel? Do you feel any particular sensations? Do you notice your mind going in any particular directions? And after I do this for a while, ladies and gentlemen, again, while I'm grounded to the earth, I imagine energy shooting from deep within the earth's surface down up into the roots, up from the roots through the tree, and collecting where my hand is. And I imagine a ball of energy collecting inside of my hand as I do this. And then when I gather enough energy through visualization, I'll breathe in very slowly. And as I breathe in very slowly, I imagine the energy coming in through my hand, up through my arm, and into what John Kreider calls the cauldron, which is like a ball of energy near our solar plexus. This cauldron is known by the ancient Chinese as the Great Pearl. It's also known largely as the Philosopher's Stone. This is the region of your body that you're going to store the energy that you accumulate and that you gather while you're out doing your energy gathering techniques out in nature. You can also, ladies and gentlemen, stand away from the tree and do breathing techniques and imagine that you're sucking energy from the tree right in through your mouth and down into your cauldron, which again, I'll try to remember to put a depiction on the screen right now of what the cauldron looks like, or a depiction of kind of just a rough idea so that you have a basic rubric on how to gather energy. You can also, ladies and gentlemen, stand barefoot on the earth and envision energy, or just breathe energy up in through your feet. This requires a decent amount of concentration. This requires a decent amount of visualization as well, ladies and gentlemen. There's no right and wrong way to do this, so don't come out here and freak out and think that you're doing it wrong. The very fact that you're out here and even trying, or going out and trying to do this, is going to align your subconscious mind and your energetic field with nature, and you are going to get a lot out of this. So just, that's really important, because when I first started doing energy gathering techniques, I thought I was doing it wrong, and I just kind of, you know, when you get in your way, when you think like that, you get in the way of receiving benefit from the energy of nature. So one thing that I would highly recommend is that if you're going to do this, tune into the inner temple exercise first for at least 5 minutes, and tune into the 4 elemental gateways. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the video in the description box below where I walk you through the inner temple exercise. The more you go into your inner temple, the closer you're going to get to the 4 elements, and it's going to make doing these energy gathering exercises a total breeze, because you're already tuned in to the energy that you're trying to gather. By tuning into the inner temple exercise, or by tuning into the inner temple and the 4 elements within the inner temple, you align your energy with the governing energy of each element. So it's like, what would it be like? It's like making a phone call to the elemental kingdom before going into the inner temple and contacting the elemental kingdoms, earth, air, fire, and water. Is like calling the president of each kingdom, each element, before going out and doing your energy gathering technique. So just essentially what I mean by that is it helps align your mind and put it into the right bandwidth of energy before you come out and do these gathering techniques. So you can just stand barefoot on the earth, ladies and gentlemen. You can imagine energy coming up from the center of the earth and in through your feet, and you can imagine it gathering in your cauldron or anywhere else in your body. Just imagine that the energy coming into your system is pure white energy or light, or it can be black if you want, it doesn't matter. Usually when I do it, I imagine either a white energy or it's like a deep, deep royal purple. And I imagine it gathering in my system, and I hold it there, and I see it inside my system, just filling my body full of pure prana. Now, what's really important is that you learn how to do some type of breathing exercise with this, so that you have some methodology that acts as a pump of sorts. So if you just stand on the earth, ladies and gentlemen, and imagine energy coming up through your feet, you can get a lot of benefit from that. But if you do it in tandem with breath, for instance, like right now, I can look down at my feet. I can imagine my feet pulling energy up through the earth's surface, purple energy, and up through my bones and whatnot, and into my cauldron. But if I pair it with breathing, ladies and gentlemen, the breath process, and I do it really slowly, helps act as like a pulling mechanism that brings it up into my system. So if you use breathing techniques for these in tandem with these energy gathering exercises, it's almost like the breath work is, the visualization is like throwing the fish hook out, metaphorically speaking, and then doing the breath work and breathing inwards as you pull the energy up is like the hook being pulled back to you with the fish on it, metaphorically speaking. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to make a handful of these videos, and hopefully, I've never done a video like this before. I've talked about energy gathering techniques, but due to the fact that this is my first video on this, it's probably going to not be the best one. There's probably going to be some things that I've left out, is what I mean. So envisioning the energy coming into you in tandem with with breathing the energy into you is really important here, ladies and gentlemen. It can really help. It's not necessary, but it definitely helps. But look at this. This is all energy, folks. This is all energy. These leaves act as solar panels. They receive solar information and solar codes from the solar kingdom. It travels in through its biological phenomenon, if we want to call it that. These trees are an absolute miracle, but the information travels in through the leaf, through its stem, and down into the tree, and then the tree receives that information. These are like solar panels, ladies and gentlemen. These are like satellite dishes, natural satellite dishes that the earth uses to gather information from the outside world and send it down into the earth, into the telluric kingdom. These trees are like the nerves of the earth, folks. So I highly recommend gathering energy from trees. I do it from clouds as well, but with clouds, folks, you have got to use your eyes, and I'll do a video on how to gather energy with your eyes as well. You have to use your tongue in tandem with the eye gathering exercise, but we'll do that in the near future. This is going to require a massive amount of visualization, and if you're not used to visualization, you're just going to have to practice it. It's a lot easier than most people think, but this is just one tree. I can put my hand here, ladies and gentlemen, and imagine the energy gathering from the tree into my hand, and then after imagining the energy gathering for a while, I can slowly breathe inward and imagine that as I'm breathing inward, ladies and gentlemen, the energy that I've gathered from the tree is traveling in through my arm and into my system and down into my great pearl or my philosopher's stone. You don't have to gather it into your system, into your cauldron, but I highly recommend doing that. And to do that, you need to pick up John Kreider's book, Overcoming the Archon through Alchemy. It's a textbook for my channel. If a lot of these videos, in order for them to make sense, you've got to read that book. There is essential homework on this Patreon page, and one of those textbooks is Overcoming the Archon through Alchemy. This is what's known as the in-polarity, gathering energy from the world around you. I can do it with the grass. I can do it with anything I'm around, ladies and gentlemen. These trees, clouds even. I can stand here and look at that cloud, connect with it mentally, and start pulling energy from the cloud into my energetic field. Now, I know that this may sound kind of crazy and hard to believe, ladies and gentlemen, but due to the fact that we've had our assemblage point radically shifted, we can no longer understand that our minds are 10,000-fold more powerful than we currently know. And because of that, most people will regard stuff like this as being totally impossible. So I mean, look at this. This is all energy around me, folks. I'm trying to wait for the wind to die down. But you can also do stuff like this. If you have a branch or whatnot that's broken like this, you can carve insignias into these, or symbols that mean a lot to you, that represent energy gathering, and then you can put your hand on it afterwards and gather energy through the symbol, which will affect your subconscious mind. And then you can repeatedly come out to this station as if it's a energy regeneration pod, and you can come out here and gather energy. We're all losing energy, ladies and gentlemen, because our electromagnetic field, our aura, has been heavily compromised due to the radical repositioning of our assemblage point by the matrix. And because of that, we're constantly losing energy through our energetic field. That's why it's so important to ground yourself to the earth. Grounding is just part of the puzzle, though. If you want to practice alchemy, you have got to learn energy gathering techniques. That's the key here, folks. And one thing that makes it much easier is doing the inner temple exercise frequently to attune yourself to the 4 elements. But take the Shilajit as well, folks. Do a parasite cleanse, a gentle cleanse. Get some coated silver from Symbiotica and do a 15 to 25 day coated silver cleanse with 1 drop a day. 1 drop of that has over 54 trillion particles in it, ladies and gentlemen, of pure silver. It is the greatest silver on the market. It is a powerful alchemical tool that can help us get rid of pathogens, bacteria, viruses, etc. inside of our gut. Once we get rid of those, it makes it much easier to come into contact with the natural kingdom, ladies and gentlemen. We were never designed to be so polluted. We have separated ourselves from the laws of nature, and because of that, we're no longer in tune with nature's majesty. We no longer have the ability either to resonate with it the way we're designed to, because our energetic field is all fucked up and has holes in it. That's why using things like the colloidal gold, the colloidal metals, the precious metals, the Shilajit can help us greatly, because it grounds us more to the earth's surface, or excuse me, it helps ground us to the earth drastically because of the sacred minerals inside of these substances, the Shilajit especially. So check out this tree over here, folks. Let's take a hike this way. Once you get proficient at energy gathering techniques, ladies and gentlemen, you can start locking your awareness onto specific trees or specific flowers even, and start gathering energy from them. But use the energy that you accumulate wisely. And you will accumulate energy if you do this properly, if you do this frequently, ladies and gentlemen. The Taoists, the ancient Chinese, the ancient alchemists, the ancient vampires, they've been doing this for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. This will give you a huge advantage over the masses. This will allow you to gather energy. It will also, if you utilize the breath work with this, which you've got to do, it'll teach you the power of mastery through your breath. So I can lock my awareness on that tree, focus on the energy around the tree. I can envision a bunch of energy around it. And then with a slow inhalation, I can start to pull the energy that I've envisioned around the tree into my system, into my energetic field. And I imagine a giant sphere around me of energy locking on to the tree's energy and pulling, and I gather all the energy and bring it right into my own energetic field. And I hold it there before I exhale. And when I exhale, I imagine all the energy that I just pulled into my energy field, into my body, shooting through my system, but not escaping. All of the energy that you gather from trees and whatnot, from the whatever you're, whether it's grass, whether it's trees, whether it's rocks, water, you name it, the ocean, the clouds, you want to make sure that when you bring it into your system, that it integrates into your system and stays within your system. And that's why you have to master something called the void polarity. The in polarity, the void polarity, and the out polarity, those are all described in John Kreider's book, Overcoming the Archon Through Alchemy. So once you get proficient at this, you can start to gather energy from vast arrays of trees, not just single trees, or not just a single object. So what I do is I gather energy from all of these trees combined. I imagine hundreds of thousands of little light points on all of these parts of these trees. I don't know how to describe this, but I imagine hundreds of thousands of little energetic points on all of these trees. And I lock into them with my awareness, and then when I do my breath work, I pull in energy from all of those hundreds of thousands of little light points, and they all gather together in my energy field. Anyways, you guys, it's really, really windy out here. I hope this video makes sense. It probably doesn't, but I hope that it does to some extent, because energy gathering is crucial, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolutely vital to your well-being, and you can get a lot more out of it if you use things like Shilajit, if you use the precious metals. It's way too windy out here, folks. I'm gonna wrap it up. Peace be with you all. I wanted to personally thank you for watching my videos and contributing to the growth of my channel. I could not do this without you, and your interest in my content is truly what motivates me and fuels my passion for making these videos and spreading my message. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wanted to remind you that this channel is a free educational tool that is listener supported, and if you would like to donate to my channel and donate to my cause, help make my life a little bit easier and help keep the lights on around here, you can do so by checking out the links in the description box below. There's a handful of not only ways to donate to my channel, but I also have links to different websites and different videos of mine, as well as my Amazon store, where you can check out a plethora of different health-related products that I use and recommend. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your continued interest in my message, and until next time, peace be with you all.